Hey everyone, picture this. You're out on the water, it's a perfect day, and then, suddenly, it's ruined by that dreaded overheat alarm. Ugh! If you've got a Yamaha outboard, you know exactly the sound I'm talking about. Well, today, we're going to tackle that exact problem, and hopefully turn that panic into some real confidence.
Yeah, we have all been there, right? You're finally opening up the throttle, the boat gets up on plane, everything's great, and then, that sound. It just shatters everything. Your stomach drops, your fun comes to a screeching halt. That feeling of dread, that's exactly what we're going to get to the bottom of.
All right, so what is the deal here? Why does this only happen when you're going fast? I mean, the engine purrs like a kitten at the dock. It's totally fine at low speeds, but the second, and I mean the second, you push it past, say, 4,000 RPM, the alarm just screams at you. It's such a classic symptom, and believe it or not, it's telling you something really specific about what's going wrong.
So what is actually going wrong inside your engine? To solve this mystery, we've got to pop the hood, so to speak. We need to look under that cowling and really understand the system that is basically crying out for help. So let's dive in and get into the mechanics of how your engine actually keeps its cool. Okay, let's talk about your engine's cooling system. The best way to think about it is like the lifeblood of your outboard. Seriously, its one and only job is to stop all that incredible heat from friction and combustion from just, well, destroying your engine. When it's working right, it's a thing of beauty. But when it's not, well, that's when you get that lovely alarm.
So, at its core, the concept is actually pretty simple. Your engine literally uses the lake or ocean water it's sitting in to keep itself cool. It just sucks water in, runs it through all these internal passages to soak up the heat, and then spits it back out. And the whole goal here is to keep that engine temperature in the sweet spot. That's typically around 140 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit.
So, where does all the trouble start? Well, the number one entry point is right here, the water intakes. This is where the whole cooling journey begins, on the lower unit. And yeah, as you can probably guess, this is where a ton of problems start, often before the water even gets a chance to get inside the engine.
I love this quote from one boat owner. He said, "It looked like someone had stuffed green cotton candy into my engine's breathing holes." And that just captures it perfectly, doesn't it? We're talking about weeds, algae, a stray plastic bag, salt buildup, you name it, it can clog up these intakes. And it's simple. If water can't get in, your engine has no way to cool down.
And check this out, this is the real key right here. You don't need a total clog for things to go wrong. Even just a partial blockage can slash your cooling efficiency by up to 40%. Now at low speeds, at idle, that might be just fine. But the moment you punch that throttle, the engine generates way more heat, and that reduced water flow just can't keep up. And that's exactly when the alarm goes off.
All right, so let's say your intakes are clear. Where do we look next? Well, now it's time to dig a little deeper. We're going to go on an investigation of the usual suspects hiding inside that cooling system. It's time to hunt down the real culprits.
Okay, this chart right here, it tells a huge part of the story. Just look at that massive slice of the pie. 60%. That's right, if you ask Yamaha technicians, they'll tell you the number one cause of overheating by a long shot is a failing water pump impeller. So this little rubber part, this is our prime suspect.
So, how can you tell if your impeller is the bad guy? Well, here's a little health check. A healthy impeller gives you a nice, strong, steady stream from the telltale, the pee hole. But a failing one, you're going to see a weak or sputtering stream. When you actually look at the part, the rubber veins can get hard and cracked, or sometimes they even get too soft and mushy to pump water effectively, especially when those RPMs climb.
But hey, it's not always the impeller. We've got some other key suspects to look at. First, you've got the thermostat, which can get stuck closed and block water flow. Then there's the poppet valve. Its job is to manage water pressure at high speeds, and it can get all clogged up. You've also got this sneaky little culprit, a leaking grommet. It's a tiny seal failure that can cause a big internal pressure leak. And finally, you could just have internal blockages. Think of it like a clogged straw, where salt or carbon buildup is slowly choking the engine from the inside.
Okay, investigation's over. We've identified the suspects. Now, it is time for action. Let's get into your step-by-step fix. From diagnosis all the way to done, we're going to get you back on the water, and with confidence this time.
All right, since the impeller is our number one suspect, let's start right there. The whole replacement process really breaks down into 4 main steps. First, you've got to disassemble the lower unit to even get to the water pump. Second, you pull out the old impeller, and, really important, you inspect the housing for any scoring or damage. Third,
You install the new impeller. Now listen up, this part is crucial. You have to make sure the little vanes are facing the right direction. And finally, step 4, you lubricate everything and put the housing back together. Follow those steps and you're golden.
And if you're wondering why it's so important to take action, just look at these numbers. The cost of overheating can be brutal. A DIY parts kit, you're looking at maybe $50 to $90. Taking it to a pro for the repair, okay, maybe a couple $100. But ignoring that alarm, letting it lead to a catastrophic failure? Whoa, we are talking $3,000, $4,000 or more. The math here is, well, it's pretty clear, isn't it? It makes a powerful case for not ignoring the problem.
So, this brings us to the big question, right? The fork in the road. Do you DIY this thing, or is it time to call in a pro?
So when do you call a certified technician? Here's my rule of thumb. If you've already replaced the easy stuff, like the impeller and the thermostat, and the problem is still there, yeah, call a pro. If you're just not comfortable with taking the lower unit apart, which is totally fair, call a pro. And for sure, if you suspect something deeper, like bad internal blockages or even head gasket issues, just stop. It's time to let an expert take over.
Okay, so fixing the problem is great, don't get me wrong. But you know what's even better? Preventing it from ever happening again. So let's open up the prevention playbook and make sure this is the last time you ever have to deal with that alarm.
And look, this isn't complicated stuff. Your Yamaha maintenance schedule is just a simple, powerful rhythm to get into. Thing 1, before every single trip, just take 10 seconds, literally 10 seconds, to check the water intakes for debris. Thing 2, after every time you're in salt water, flush that engine with fresh water for at least 5 minutes. No excuses. And thing 3, once a year or every 100 hours, just go ahead and replace the impeller and thermostat before they can become a problem. That's it. That's the secret sauce.
You want some real peace of mind? Put together a little onboard emergency kit. This is a total game changer. I'm talking a spare impeller kit, a spare thermostat and gasket, a basic wrench and socket set, and some gasket sealant. Having that stuff on board can turn what would have been a day-ending disaster into, just a 30-minute fix on the water.
So if you take away one thing, let it be this. The crucial point is that proactive maintenance is the absolute best cure. Seriously, an hour of prevention in your driveway is worth 1,000 times more than a day of frustration out on the water. It's not a chore, it's your ticket to a stress-free boating season.
And really, that's what it all boils down to, isn't it? Is 1 minute of prevention. That quick glance, that 5-minute flush, is that small bit of effort worth saving an entire perfect day on the water? I think we all know the answer to that one.